Welcome to Patrick Simulation Realities, where the world of conflict simulation comes alive through conversations with the people who shape it. From game designers and developers to play testers and passionate hobbyists, we explore the stories, strategies, and creativity behind your favorite war games. Dive deep into the art of simulation and discover the minds behind the mechanics. Brought to you by VUCA Simulations, connecting history, theory, and gameplay.
Hello and welcome to Patrick Simulation Realities. I am Patrick Gebhardt, your host, and today we're going to record our very first episode. We're talking with a brilliant game designer today who has a deep passion for creating immersive games, especially in modern settings. His first-time game design, RedStrike, won 4 Charles S. Roberts Awards, which is an outstanding achievement. So stay tuned as we explore his journey, design philosophy, and his experiences made so far on this journey. But first, let me introduce myself in a few words. I am a 39-year-old guy from Cologne, Germany, and I've been playing wargames since almost 20 years now. In 2018, I co-founded the wargame publishing house VUCA Simulations, and since then, we have published 13 games, with many more exciting games being in different stages of active development right now. So, today is the 1st of January 2025, and I appreciate our special guest in this episode having the time and being willing to record this session after a long New Year's Eve yesterday night. So without further ado, let me introduce today's guest, Yves Rettel. Welcome to the show, Yves.
Hi, Patrick. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Fine.
Not too tired after yesterday?
No, it was not a wild party. That's over.
That's good. So let's start with our interview, talking about board games, right?
Yep.
So maybe you can introduce yourself at first and talk a bit about your personal journey into the wargaming hobby, and then also how you came into designing your own board games.
Yeah, so as you said, my name is Yves Rettel. I'm living in Luxembourg. I am a Luxembourger. I have been born in 1969, in the summer of 69. And that's also a part of the explanation why the Cold War is something that is really something that I'm fond of, because I lived in the Cold War when I was a young guy. 89, I was 20 years. So, I have lived through that period where the nukes were on both sides of the ocean, targeting the other side. Wargaming I have been doing, I think, since my earliest childhood, because I have 2 elder brothers. And with whom I played military miniatures and these little guys.
Yeah.
And we played a lot with that. And unfortunately, when I was 8, my eldest brother, he died in a car crash.
Oh. All right.
And I don't know what the coincidence was, but a year after, my parents gave me a gift that was Panzergruppe Guderian from SPI.
Yeah,
the French Netherlands, the French-Dutch version of it. And that was my start with wargaming, not miniatures, but hex encounters. So I was 8 or 9, something like that.
Oh, wow. So you managed to get the game in at that age?
Not at all. I imagined how it would work, because my eldest brother, he and his friends, they had drawn up an hex encounter game themselves.
Oh, wow.
And I saw that in my memory. There is something like I have seen that, and I had a vague idea how that could work.
Yeah.
And so I made them, because I couldn't read. I did not understand the French rules. I have my French was not yet good enough to understand the rules,
Right.
and I don't understand Dutch at all. So I was really waiting for somebody to explain me the rules, but nobody could. But then with the years, my French got better and I could understand the rules. And then, of course, I got the game right, more or less, I think.
You got started with using your own rules.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, I started with my own rules. I made it up. And when I started to understand the rules and how that works, I started to invent my counters. I draw my counters with with
Pen and paper.
pen and paper, right?
Yeah.
I cut them out and
Yeah. So
I made my
basically, you've been a game designer before you've played your first real war game, right?
basically you could say it like that. Yeah,
Okay,
right.
great.
Yeah, it was really I was doing my own maps. I was drawing the hexes by hand.
Yeah.
I was just I unfortunately I don't have all of that stuff. I have thrown it all away, but it would have been nice to have it today to see how it all started.
Yeah.
So
So back in the days, how did you manage to get more war games?
that again, it's a coincidence really, because I played my Panzergruppe Guderian game, or what I made out of it. I played it so often that a good friend of my mother, she saw that game a lot of times.
Yeah.
And well, she saw it when she came to us to visit us. And one day I was already 17 or 18 years old.
Mhm.
And then she said, Yves, I have seen some game like that in France, in Metz. That's not too far away from Luxembourg. That's 50 kilometers away. And I think that could be interesting to you. You imagine that coincidence that she saw
Wow.
this.
Yeah.
And then one of the first things I did when I had my driving license at 18, I drove down to Metz and I looked for that shop.
Yeah.
And then it was just like the candy store. It was just like, oh, wow, what? All of these games. And yeah, then of course the journey started, and nowadays I have about 800 games, and
Oh wow.
yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, collecting is also a hobby, playing is a hobby, designing has become more than a hobby, and yeah. But that was
Yeah.
the first time that I saw that there were more games than Panzergruppe Guderian. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but
All
these
right.
coincidences. I mean, how in the US, I mean, wargaming was always something that was around in the shops, in the
Sure.
toy shops. But in Luxembourg, to find that game and then
Yeah.
to think about to give it to me,
Right.
and then the good friend of my mother that told me that there is a shop that might be interesting to you. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's fun. And it reminds me on myself. Well, when I started, I had the chance to use Board Game Geek, right? So it was the early days of the internet, and I just found this website, and there were so many games that were interesting. So yeah, I actually asked my grandfather for his car when I got my new driving license, so I could drive to Essen, which was about, I don't know, 90 minutes drive, also to get into the first wargame store. Although we had one in Cologne, which I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, at the time I started in Metz, and after that I found out that in Aachen, in how do you say that in English? Aachen?
Yeah, Aachen.
Aachen.
I think
There
so.
was the fantasy shop, and they had a lot of war games. And then I started to, because I prefer to be in Germany than in France. Nothing against the French, but German is the language is more my language than French. So I was happy to be there and talk to guys that were also playing war games up there in Aachen. So.
Nice. Yeah, and so we met actually before we got to know each other in this working relationship. We met at Hexacon, right, in Germany. There's a wargaming convention. It was pure coincidence. It's
again that coincidence. I mean,
yeah, it's like 10 years ago or something, right? I don't know.
2015. Now it is 10 years ago. Yeah, 2015, I think it was.
Yeah. So did you go to lots of gaming conventions?
Well, no, I wouldn't define it as a lot. I was a regular attendant of a very small convention near Metz in France. From 2007 or 8 on, I went there twice or 3 times a year whenever they made something.
Yeah.
But that was nearly the only one that I went to until very recently, indeed.
Right.
Hexacon was one of the exceptions, really.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
And come back to the Hexacon. When VUCA So I did not know that it was you.
Yeah.
When VUCA contacted me, or I contacted VUCA, whatever, and I told a friend of mine, Claude, I told him, you don't believe it, VUCA wants to do my game. And he's just returning to me, yeah, but you know the guys. I say, what? I don't know them. He said, yeah, those are the guys that we have played the meta game in Hexacon. And I was just like, it's not possible.
Yeah, we've played the mega game.
A mega game. No,
Yeah,
yes, right,
and
right.
so the mega game was with, I don't know, 50 guys playing the game, and so they teamed up 4 guys in a small group, all right? And
Right.
so it was you and Claude and me and Julius, who's the
Right.
co-founder of VUCA Simulations. And that's like 3 years before we even had the contact for RedStrike, right?
Yeah. Again, crazy
Yeah, it
crazy
was fun.
coincidence. I was not aware of the fact that VUCA was you, but then, well, Claude told me, yeah, you know these guys. And said, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, when we met at the mega game, VUCA didn't even exist. Right? So we just started out like 2 years later. And yeah, I just stumbled upon your game design on Console World Forum, I guess. So that's when I reached out to you. And yeah, so maybe you want to talk a bit about this journey, maybe up until the point that we got in touch with each other for the project again. So how did it develop? And
yeah, I mean, it all started when I was playing Against Strike, the game of Mark Herman that was coming out in 86 or 7, something like that. And I loved that game. Then I bought Gulf Strike, so I made it the other way around. Most people have first Gulf Strike, then Against Strike. I went the other way around. And again, I was just like, wow, that's it's an interactive system. It's detailed, but not. It was not like other games where you just have hundreds of data. It was detail. It was just my kind of detail that the game had, and the interaction was cool. And so that I was very fond of those 2 games. And yeah, I waited for years for Mark Herman to publish a game, the same style, the same system for Warsaw Pact against NATO in Europe, Central Europe, but he didn't. In the meantime, I know why, because everybody was thinking that that market was dead, and probably in around 2000 it was dead. Nobody was interested in the Cold War going hot anymore. And so then that was the point where I started to do it for myself, as I had already some experience in doing games for myself. So I started to do that, and I had because I was an avid photographer, so I had a lot of experience with Photoshop, and so I could do my graphics on my own. I made the map on my own. That was already quite nice for a private thing, and I put a lot of hours in it and in the research. And as it is something that was interesting me, I read books. And one outstanding book is from General Hackett, The Third World War. I can only recommend it to everybody. If you read that book, you want to play it. It's really great. And so I started to do that for my own. And after having spent, I don't know, hundreds of hours already in it, and having it shown, I showed it to my friends in France at the convention where I regularly went. And they were also like, wow, this looks great and it's interesting and so on. Then I thought to myself, yeah, maybe I could ask a publisher to publish the game.
Sure.
After all. And that was around 2000. In the year 2000, no, that was around 2010, sorry, 2010.
All right. When did you first get started with the project?
Yeah, 2004 or 5, something like that.
Right.
So, yeah. So 5 years later, I tried to find a publisher, and I sent playtest copies, and it was a lot of work because at that time it had even more counters than now. So,
physical playtest copies.
Yeah.
Wow.
I sent one to some of the big publishers that were in the market at that moment. and I got no reply, or it's too big, or it does not interest, that the market is dead for that for that theme. So then I packed it up, I played it for my own, and I let it go. And then I had on console mode, I had a discussion folder where some people were sometimes asking where I were at, what would become of the game, and it was an up and down. So I was in, was out. So, and at some point, a Chinese company contacted me, Banana Games. The name is silly, but and I thought at first, well, this is nothing serious. And they gave me a project manager for the project, and we were starting to work. And after a couple of weeks, I didn't hear anything from him again. And I was just like, I knew that this was a scam. They just wanted my files, and now they are gone. And well, then I said to myself, okay, whatever. And then after a couple of months, they contacted me and asked me if I would agree. The project was too big for them. Okay. And they asked me if I would like to publish the game with a German publisher. And I was just like, Germany, quality, cool, yeah, why not? Language barrier, Chinese, Luxembourgish is not the same as German. Okay, and then is when VUCA enters the stage. And from there on, it was just like rolling.
Yeah. It rolled for a couple of years still, but
yeah.
I must say, when I stumbled across the console world folder, I saw the playtest components that you created yourself, right? The map and the counters, and for a playtest copy, it looked really, really nice, really advanced. So that was attracted me personally into the game at first. Yeah.
And then it took years to finish it.
Yeah. And we had to cut down some of the counters, right? So why don't you tell our listeners a bit about what kind of work we did when we got started?
Yeah, I mean, also first of all, I was very happy to get good advice from you, because the game was just unplayable at that moment. It was fine for me because it was my game and I had a lot of time, so I could do that. But one of the first things that you told me is if there are too many counters. And that's when I started to think about, okay, how can I cut down the counters without sacrificing any of the detail that I wanted to have, and without making the game not the game that I wanted to do, because I sincerely think if as a designer you don't make a game that you want to play, it's not going to be good. It's going to be a game, yes, it might work, but it does not have the same feeling for the player. I mean, gamers they understand what is behind the game if you really lived and loved to do it.
Yeah.
So then I started to become creative, really creative, and cut down hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of counters, and the game became more and more manageable, and I'm very fond that you have done that.
But still, we got, I don't know, 2,000 counters?
Yeah, but that's 800 markers that you don't even use, and the other guys are not always on the map, so
yeah, that's true.
It's it's a great game. It's a big game, yes.
Yeah.
But you know it when you buy it.
Yeah,
you should.
Or if you watched any of the videos out there covering the game.
Right, you're right.
Yeah.
So that was the positive impact that you had, where I had to cut down. You also made me change the detection rules, or at least to put standard detection rules in the game that were not so complicated.
Right.
And luckily, you also advised me to cut all the chrome out.
Yeah, not all. So it's still chromey, right?
Yeah, but you allowed me to put most of the chrome in the optional rules.
Yeah.
That was cool. But no, it's clear. There were even more chromey rules than there are now optional rules, and it would have been even today. I don't remember all of the optional rules, and I never played with all the optional rules. So it was the best way that you could do is tell me, okay, go straight forward and leave out the rest,
Yeah.
or make it optional, and people can take what they want.
All right.
think
Otherwise,
that was
it gets unplayable.
yes,
At
it's
least for the beginning. If you play your first game, you get overwhelmed. Right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
and that was also very good advice to cut down on that. And I mean,
Yeah.
in the meantime, I have also read a lot of books from wargamers. For example, the latest book from Mark Herman. And one thing that I always hear again or read again and again is less is more, and
Right.
you have to cut down on things that you don't. If it doesn't change the outcome of the game, then leave it away, leave it
Yeah.
out. If
But
it's just
still, yeah, but still, you got a lot of optional rules for people who prefer to have more realistic and more Chrome to it. And also, you're pretty active in terms of let's call it after sales service, right? So
mm,
maybe you want to talk a bit about that. What did you do for this game in particular? And then we can talk about other projects maybe.
well, what I was missing before I did it myself was the support of the designer or the developer. I mean, some companies do that and they do it very good. But for those games that I liked most, there was near to no support at all.
All right.
I mean, if somebody who has played the game posts on a forum, that's not the same as if the designer himself or the developer, somebody who is really into the game, who has
True,
really developed it, is talking about it. So I was missing that for all my wargaming life, and that's why I wanted to be there for the guys who play my game. And one thing is, of course, I mean, people pay for it, and they have a right to get my view or my interpretation of the rules, who should be the right ones. But it's also like I get feedback from the people that play the game.
Yeah.
And that feedback is something that makes the next games better.
Yeah, it's super valuable. I mean,
Absolutely.
we did that. Yeah, sorry.
Go
No,
ahead.
I mean, we did some substantial playtesting with RedStrike right before we published the game. So there was hours and hours and lots of volunteers helping us out. But still, if you release a game and you got actual customers and players playing the game, you get I don't know, the play experience is just multiplied by a couple of times, and then if we get feedback, that just helps in improving the system.
Right.
Yeah.
That's something that I have also done in my professional life, but I could use it also here, because listening to your customers, in this case players, is the best way you can do to improve your product.
Yeah.
And it's not like everybody that is whining about this or that I'm going to change everything from startup. No, I mean, I have my arguments, and I have the reasons why I've done some things. But there are things that we have discussed and that we have changed in the meantime already. And there are one or two big changes that will also come in the future, the next games of the Strike series. And it just makes the games better. And I mean, to just shut down, and not listen to the guys that play the game, that is really the last thing that I would do. I can only recommend everybody who is designing a game first time, or even when he has done already a couple of games, listen to the guys who play it, and you will relatively fast you will see who is a player and who is a rules lawyer or somebody who wants to break the game. I mean, every game can be broken somewhere, and a game of this complexity, of course, there are things that are not maybe so logic for everybody. But as a designer, you have to do also things that, to make the game playable, really.
Yeah, and I think RedStrike is not a competitive game, right? So it's about the play experience.
Yeah.
Right. You wanna, of course, you wanna do stuff to increase your chances of winning, but in the end, it's all about the experience, right? And so you have you've played with lots of people up to now, right? on conventions. I mean, we've been to the UK, for example, where you have set up the introductory scenarios, just run people through the intro scenarios and showed them just the small chunks of the game. And but you've also been to other conventions where you played the full campaign in a team play, right? So why don't you tell us a bit about that experience?
Okay, that's two different experiences indeed.
Yeah, sure.
On the one hand, that's like Spain and the UK last year now.
In Germany and Essen, I think.
In
right?
Germany at Essen, it
Yeah.
was more like explaining the game and the mechanics and getting
Yeah.
people into the mechanics. And the general feedback was, "Oh, this is easy." I said, "Yes, the mechanics should be easy, but of course, if you get all the mechanics at one time and you have to take the decisions, what I'm going to do, what is the sequencing of my actions,
Yeah.
that's the complex thing. But the mechanics in itself are quite easy." And that's luckily I got that feedback from everybody who was getting into the game. Yeah, at the base, it's really not that hard, but it's all together and to know when I do what. That's really the point. And
Yeah.
that's the journey, as you talked about it. That's the journey that whether you are a military guy and you know how it would work and you try it out and it works, or you are new to these, I would say, tactical operational level, not tactical, more operational level, but you will find it out on yourself. And I see I have a Discord channel. As you asked, what have I done? I have done a Facebook group. I have done a Discord channel. I am also on Consumate on a French forum, but most of the time the Facebook group, that's the best place to be. Join us. And I see that people are playing it and they are learning and they're asking me, is it right when I do this and this? I say, yes, perfect. That's the way to do. And without me explaining it to them, they try it out and then they discover how the game works really. And that's the one part of the convention. So where I'm more like selling the mechanics at some point. But then we also, the other kind of conventions, that's where I play with teams, in teams. So for example, in Germany, done it twice. In the United States, I've done it twice. Where we are really 5, 6, 7 people gather around the game and we have 2 teams. Team Red, Team Blue, and we play, and that's just so fun. And I think that the campaign games are really destined to be played by teams. So much is going on. You have the air, you have the naval part, you have the big map of all of Centec, Northec, so central Germany and northern Germany.
So how do you divide players? Is it by
wait,
like one guy commanding air? By way.
So
is it like you divide the map into operational regions, or do you take like one guy using the air forces, one guy for naval?
So the best we have tried out a little bit of a couple of different distributions, but the best I think is really when one guy is taking care of the air war,
right?
Because he knows what is where are the air bases, where are my interceptors, where are these and that. So you have 2 guys basically that play the air war, and then the northern part of Germany and the southern part of Germany. So free versus free is indeed, I think, optimal. And the guys who does northern Germany, he could also do the naval part on the northern map, on the northern operational map.
Yeah.
And we had the luck, or how would you say? We also had a 4th player that was the 4th player on both teams. We had once a 4th player that was doing the strategic map.
Oh wow!
But of course, the number of counters and the number of interactions is limited. So these 2 guys, they were also doing other things while we were playing. But when we came to the next turn, well, we asked them to come back and play the strategic part of the game.
Right.
But basically, somebody like the air guy or the northern Germany guy could do. So, as to answer your questions, 1 air guy and 2 for the ground units, and then geographically north and south. That works really best.
Okay.
Cool. I think that works best. Yes.
So how long did you get into the game?
Well, we started 1 year ago. We're still in it. No, the campaign game takes long, and I have also a huge change of the supply rule written but not yet tested to make it different in a way that is also more realistic. But we have done like 3 game turns, one game turn a day, so we are near to real time playing the game. And
so that's gameplay via vessel?
No, that was at the convention.
Okay. Yeah.
That was at the convention. So we played like 6-7 hours a day, and we made it through 1 game turn per day. And I have to say, these guys were also not all very deep into the rules already. So that was in the beginning. That was beginning of 2024 and beginning of 2023, when the game was not even out. We played with playtest rules. And I mean, as more and more players get accustomed to the rules, it will also go faster.
Yeah.
And then the last experience that I had when we played team, and that made me think about changing the supply rules, is really we played 1 game turn over 2 days, and that was beginning to be too much even for me. That is too much, and it is due to the supply rule as it is today, but it will not stay like that. It will be, for the moment, it's just too much. But okay, I mean, I accept it. I have never seen that happen before, but it was very good that I saw it now before the next games come out, because now we have the time to change that for the rest of the series.
Right. So to summarize the changes in the supply rules, it's like in the game as published, you have a certain amount of supply points per side, right? At the game starts, and you can basically burn through all your supply stockpiles in game turn 1, right?
That's it.
And that's the problem.
That's the problem, because the problem is twofold. First, one side who has the initiative, that's the puck normally, he will play forever, and the game is made that you always have interactions.
Right.
But you are always on the receiving end, and so it's not so fun to be on the receiving end all the time. And the second part of the problem is it's totally unrealistic that the supply that I was calculating for a month, you could spend it in 2 days.
Yeah.
How the heck would they bring it to the front? How would they do that? It's impossible. And I thought that people would say, okay, we have 15 game turns, maybe 7 that we are going to play, so we are going to halve it. And that's what I did with all the team plays that I had. We agreed on, okay, we are only spending 200, 150, 300 supply points per game turn.
Right.
So it went relatively fast, because you burn through the supply points relatively fast. But the last time I played it, and I saw that you can play every 1,000 or 1,500 supply points in 1 game turn. That's not very fun, and it's not realistic.
Yeah.
So that will be now sliced into the game turns. But of course, it's not like yes, we divide it by 15 and then it's done. I have now made all the calculations about the convoys that would arrive,
right.
about and the different scenarios where they begin with mobilizing. So you will have different numbers of supply points at different game terms in different scenarios.
Right.
And I think that's much more realistic, and it will speed up the game enormously.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's a new rule which we will upload to the website once it's there.
Once I have tested it also, yes. I'm testing it right now.
Yeah, and then you want to recommend that rule for all plays of RedStrike.
Yeah, for RedStrike I can only recommend it, and it will be maybe in the version 3 of the rules someday. But for the next games, it will be already fixed in the rules, yes.
All right, speaking of which, so you're not only working on RedStrike, right?
No.
But you also have different other projects in the same series on your plate. So why don't you tell us, like in broad strokes, about all the different projects you were working on, and then maybe we can go into some of them in detail.
Yeah, I mean, for the moment, we have 3 strike games in the making, where I work 100% on one of them. That's Northern Strike. That's about 1989. It's a companion game to RedStrike that will be a standalone game much smaller than RedStrike. It will have a couple of different rules because terrain and weather is different than in Central Europe. But to keep it realistic, we had to add some of the some special rules for that, but not too many. I mean, except for supply and for the weather, stacking rule might change a little bit.
Sure.
No, will change a bit, but for the rest, that's the same. It's 90% the same rules as in RedStrike.
Right. So it's a different scale, right?
Yeah, partially it's different. For NATO side, it does not change too much because NATO in RedStrike is already brigade, regiments, and some battalions. For the Warsaw Pact, it will change. Yes, in RedStrike it's divisional scale, and now it will become regimental scale. Simply because it's the small roads that are in northern Scandinavia and the limited number of roads cannot sustain divisions and divisions and divisions. It's impossible. So you have to fight it. It's going to be a smaller scale war, yes.
Yeah.
But it will have more amphibious assaults. It will have more airborne landings. And yeah, it's going to be interesting how the Americans will come in and NATO, the Dutch will come in, and yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Cool. So what's the status of the game?
Right now, I'm playtesting the second version of the counters and the third version of the map. And I am one of the biggest points also in that game is going to be the political military aspect of Finland and of Sweden. And I have, for the moment, I have developed a nice, I think, a nice way to make it. How do you say? Neither the Warsaw Pact player, neither NATO player knows how Finland and Sweden will react on something that the Pact is doing.
Okay, interesting.
So the Pact player might say, "Okay, I'm going to do this," but he doesn't know how both of these countries will react on that.
Okay.
And that's going to be very. It's not going to be luck, but it's going to be. I have evaluated at how much percentage it would have happened that the Finns would have entered war on NATO side, etc. So I have read a lot about that. So it's going to be. I have to show you how I want to make it.
Yeah.
So the status is really that's in development, and for the counters, I think that version 3 will be already near to final.
Yeah.
And the map also. I mean, the next version of counters and map should be near final. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So then we had some errata counters for RedStrike also, right? And new charts, like which are a bit more easy to use, right? So maybe you want to talk about those.
Yes. So I mean, we have found out a couple of errors on the counters.
Right.
It's there are 2 errors that are really bad, and we have found also some smaller ones that are not game changers. I mean, also those 2 are not game changers, but they are really big errors that should not have happened, but shit happens. So what we are going to do is we are going to reprint all of the counters that have errors, also the small ones.
Yeah.
And we will also print the new rulebook, the version whatever 3 would it probably be. And also the charts. So people
which
that
are simplified, right?
Simplified.
Mostly simplification of the tables. Yeah.
For example, the missile table was very very cool for me and for the playtesters, but people all around the world were not really happy with that. So we changed it completely, and nowadays it should be much easier. And that will be published too with Northern Strike. So people who buy that game will get the updates for free with the game. But we will also, nothing is yet decided at 100%, but we will very probably also put it on sale where we don't want to make profit of it, but so that people can get it and we don't we don't break break the account, the bank account of Buka.
Yeah, exactly. So the big problem here is, of course, the shipping costs, right? Otherwise, I don't know. We would have thought about making it complementary, but we have to see how we can solve that. So the rules in the simplified or the revised charts. We're gonna make them available on our website also for download, so people can print them out. And yeah. All right, so this will be all in the Northern Strike pack, right?
Right.
So
then there is the game. One of the next games is Balkan Strike, which is again Strike, basically, but bigger.
right.
And that's Stuart Shepard, a New Zealander, who is very fond of all the games about NATO versus Warsaw Pact, and he's also a big fan of Gulf Strike and Aegean Strike. So he's developing that one, and we are steadily comparing what we are going to do. So there will be, for example, guerrilla rules, so partisans in Yugoslavia, for example, so that we are doing the same thing, so that we are really harmonizing the rules. So you won't get one rule that is different in Balkan Strike than in Northern Strike,
Right.
or in the third game, Gulf War.
Will it be possible to combine the games?
It was not the intention in the beginning, but Stu was he has done the maps already that link up to RedStrike. So yes,
Right.
yeah.
Nice.
We are well. He is more or less thinking also about Yugoslavian civil war in the 90s. So we'll see. Maybe it will be an extension. But first of all, we have to make the basic game.
Yeah.
Then we will think about what we can do afterwards. Just like
Right.
Northern Strike was always in my mind, but I did not work on it anyway before RedStrike was really done.
Right.
So that Balkan Strike is Stu, who is working on it with Vuka, with Patrick and with Pablo.
Yeah, so Pablo's just working on the playtest counter layouts as we speak. So I think playtesting could start pretty soon.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that I am also looking forward to. And then, of course.
So then you mentioned Gulf Strike.
Yeah, right. And then, that's of course a dream come true. I mean, I love most of the games from Mark Herman. And Gulf Strike is one of my, and Aegean Strike is one of the games that I probably have played most in my life. And I contacted him after RedStrike had come out, and had also already a couple of fans, I would say, I have to say.
Yeah.
And then Mark Herman was like, yeah, I saw that, great. And we arranged, we could sign a contract with him, so we are going to do Gulf War together.
Yeah.
Is as co-designer, and he has gotten my first batch of files a couple of weeks ago, and I'm waiting for his first returns on that. And so we are really at the start of that game. I have now read a couple of books about the Iran-Iraq war, which will be portrayed in that game. One could say, yeah, but Iran-Iraq war, there was not much happening, and read about it, and there was much more happening than you think. It was much more like we see today in Ukraine. It's not like thousands of tanks and hundreds of aircraft, but it's quite interesting. At some points of the war, there was movement, there were things happening, and it's really, really interesting in the end. And it's not really good for a campaign game, but for the smaller scenarios, like the learning scenarios or the battle scenarios that are medium-sized, I think that will be very nice.
Yeah, cool.
And so that was the first thing that we are doing now, is research, order of battle, of course. And in this case, that's maybe interesting. In RedStrike, what I did was, first I did the order of battle, and I redid it and did it whatever, and I did the map and so on. And afterwards I thought, okay, but what I'm going to do with this order of battle now, with all these troops that I have. And in Gulf Strike, I have now first described all the scenarios that I want to do. And now I can concentrate on research concerning these scenarios. I've read a couple of books, as I said, about these wars that happened in the Near East. And now I know exactly, okay, for this kind of scenario, I need this material. And I think it's much more effective than doing it the other way around. Then research everything and then pick what you need. In this case, I know what I need, and then I will just focus on that.
Okay, so basically the research results are on Mark's desk right now.
Yes, the first steps are on Mark's desk. Yes.
Yeah. He's a busy man, though.
Yeah, he has a lot of projects, and he told us that he
Yeah,
would not be available all the time, and
exactly.
but that's okay. I mean, as long as
Sure.
he doesn't say this is not working, then it's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
no answer
I,
is also an answer.
I mean, you got enough different projects on your plate, anyways. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I have also a part-time job where I do playtesting for a
Yeah.
company, for wargame
For
company.
wargame company, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Oh, nice.
You might know it.
Yeah. And yeah, so there's also a fourth project, I guess, which we didn't talk about. That's the Empire Strike working
Yes,
title.
yes, that is my cherished project that I absolutely want and must do.
Yeah.
It's about the Falklands War, the Malvinas, as they are called from the Argentinian guys, and that should have been the next game, but for many reasons, it's now the fourth in the queue.
Right.
And I think that game will also be fantastic because RedStrike is really shining also in the air and naval war.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in RedStrike, that's a little part of the game, except if you play this jet map. But for the rest, it's
Yeah.
really just a small part of the game. And in Falklands War, it will really shine, and it will really come out that that system is really meant to be played. It's really
Yeah, it'll
well
be
done.
a standalone game, right? So
Yeah, it will be a
very
standalone game.
accessible.
Again,
Yeah.
even smaller probably than Northern Strike, and with a very small number of ground troops.
Yeah. Different land scale. So hex scale on the land portion, I guess.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Maybe
Right.
we will do that, but I'm not quite sure that. I think we can do it also with the same scale.
All right.
But
Okay. Yeah.
nothing is forbidding us to make a little change of scale.
Yeah. We'll
Because
see
it
where
will.
it leads us.
Yeah, anyhow, it will be the size of the troops will be battalions, so it works with 28 kilometers per hex.
Yeah.
But probably we are going to cut down a little bit on that. Also to have more
Cool.
space on the Falklands. The Falklands are bigger than I thought, indeed, but they are not super big, neither.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So you got some pretty interesting projects aside from still working on Red Strike improvements.
mhm.
Yeah. Cool. So I know you've been to a lot of wargame conventions in last year, right? In the years before. So why don't you tell us about any plans for 2025? Is there any conventions you're planning to attend, and is there any chance to maybe get an introductory session from yourself to like what we discussed before, where you just teach or show some parts of the game, or is there even opportunity to take part on one of the big campaign plays, like the team games?
Yes. Well, I'm still planning for my year for
Mm-hmm.
2025, but some things are already fixed. So the first thing that I will do is I will attend a World War III con in
Mm-hmm.
Seattle in the US, end of January, beginning of February.
Nice.
That has become my second home, or the second
Yeah.
home of Red Strike, because I've been there already 2 times, and great bunch of guys, and that's where I played the big teams, and where we had also a lot of fun. And yeah, those guys are really just brilliant. I can't
Cool.
wait to get back to the States to see them, and they are really just great. The second one that is fixed is San Marino in May.
Mm-hmm.
They asked me somehow to go if I would like to come, and
Yeah.
yes, I would like to go there. I have never been to San Marino, so it's cool. In May, I will be there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful location. So we've been there last year with
Mhm.
Buka, and there's a big gaming room where the tables are, and you have a huge window where you can look from the top of the mountain, and it's beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool. Well, I'm going to see that in May,
cool.
and I don't know how many people we are going to be to play. I guess we will also have this team play, about maybe 4 or 6 people. I don't know yet.
Nice.
It's a nice nice Italian guy who is organizing the table for that strike
Yeah.
down there, and I will see. And then the other thing that is more or less fixed also, that's in Germany, that's the Hexacon, where we met
Right.
10 years ago. And I am in talks with Detlef. That's the guy who has been one of the head of the Hexacon organizing committee, I think.
Yeah,
Or
he was like the president of the
yeah.
game club a couple of years ago. So
So he knows
yeah,
people, and that's where I'm going to be
exactly.
also. That's also in May. That's end of May, I think. End of
Right.
May, beginning of
Yeah.
June. Yeah. So that's the one, and of course the other one that I have also been a couple of times. That's the PerimeterCon in Grevenbruch.
Yeah, it's right around the corner from me, so it's a 10-minute drive.
Yeah. So that's really the one that I have been also in 2017, and yeah, that's the one I also want to attend. It's first of all, it's 20, 25, 30 people.
Yeah.
It's very well organized. It's in a nice place. Food is great, and the guys, if you get to know them a little bit, then of course you want to see them again, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And the cherry on the cake is, of course, also that Mr. Mark Simonich is also sometimes there.
Right.
And that's also nice to meet him. He's very, very, he's not very talkative, but he's very nice and very fine.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
yeah, it's cool. So those are the fixed ones. And then I have, of course, my traditional small cons in France, in Metz, where I have been for now 2 decades where I go.
So you still go there?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And not only to play RedStrike. I also like to play other things sometimes.
Yeah, what other games do you like?
For example, Mirage, I played now a lot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's the other VUCA game.
Yeah. I don't mean only talking about VUCA games. I mean, there's a broad market and great companies, right?
But the Next War series is one of my favorite also.
GMT.
I like the Next War. NATO, of course, from Bruce Maxwell is one of the games that I really love too.
It's Compass, right? Compass Games.
That was now Compass Games, yes. At the time it was Victory Games, but they don't exist anymore, so it's now Compass. What do I also play? I have played, of course, Great Battles of History is one of my favorite game systems also. Okay. I play that too. Yeah. And then I have also now from Decision Games, I have bought the Battles of the East, or the Battles in the East, or of the East. That's 2 games now, and that will be a series. The third one should come out now quite fast.
I think it's out already, isn't it?
The third one is already out? Oh, okay. But maybe.
I'm not 100% sure. But I got three boxes at home on my shelf. I'm sure about that, but maybe I got 2 copies of one of them. So
okay.
I'm not sure.
No. Well, I have played one of them, and I have to dig more in it. I probably have missed something. I was not getting into it. It's very easy indeed, but I just couldn't get further in the game. So probably I have to I will have to redo that.
Right. So mainly you play operational games, though.
Yeah, but I just wanted now to say about the tactical games. But one system that I really, really love is World at War 85 from Lock and Load. It's just brilliant. It's so cool to see how these tanks attack each other, and how a Jeep in the end wins the game because he's doing something that the other he has missed it, and it's just a great system. It's really, really lovely. And from tactical games, what I also very much is Fighting Formations from GMT. Unfortunately, Mr. Chad Jensen, who passed away, cannot continue it, but his wife, Kay Jensen, she has now done 29th US Infantry Division, and I'm looking really forward to get that, because the other one, the Groß Deutschland, I have played it a lot, and it's, in my humble opinion, the best tactical system I've played so far. Oh, wow. And I've played Last 100 Yards, I've played ASL, I've played, because it's detailed, but it's not overwhelming. Right. And the vehicles, and the guns, they already from the start, they were incorporated into the design of the game. And sometimes when tactical games come out, then they try to put vehicles afterwards in it, and it does not really work somehow. It works, and I'm okay with it, and I like it too, but here you feel that is one mold, and it has been done at once, and it's really, really great. I love it.
And it has a variant sophisticated activation system, right?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
really great. I mean, it's the and when I say that, take it with attention.
Yeah.
It's the follow-up of Combat Commander, but
Right.
it has done everything that people don't like in Combat Commander. It has done better.
Right.
So in Combat Commander, when you don't get the cards, you can't do anything, and I'm fine with that
Exactly.
because I love that uncertainty.
Yeah.
But that's not happening in Fighting Formations. So but the activation system, as you said, is you choose orders, and the orders cost you initiative points. And if you take larger orders, then you will spend initiative points, and then the other guy can play. So the initiative is also changing.
Right.
So in the game that is playing on the map, you also have a game about the orders. If I take him that order, then he has to take that one, and then I will get back initiative. But if I take it now, then I can do that. So it's really a game in the game somehow. And I really like that too. I'm not really very good at thinking large. Chess is not my thing, for example.
Yeah.
But I see that there is really something that is extraordinary well done.
Yeah, so I think you sold the game to me.
Yeah, you do
so
it.
actually,
do it,
I
do
got
it.
it in my collection as well, but
Yeah,
I never managed to get along to playing it. But maybe in a few weeks when you come over to Cologne, right?
Yeah,
we should take the opportunity and play a game
right.
of
You will see it's really really great.
Yeah. I also just have the base game, right? Like the first one which came
Yeah,
out. But
I have the extension, but I have never played it. I have only played the base game, but it's really really good.
Oh,
so
awesome!
Good.
So you can run me through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I played a lot. Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, I like tactical games pretty much because you can play them usually in one evening, one sitting, and you have such a huge variety in scenarios, right? And they are somewhat storytelling. So I think it's a totally different thing than operational games where you have different things to worry about, and
absolutely, it's totally different. It's not so abstract. I mean, any operational game is always abstract. I mean, you have a counter representing 10,000 guys.
Yeah.
So it has to be abstract. It's something different. But when you have 9 guys or 12 guys who are doing something, and you have one tank rolling over the field, you have at least me. I have done a movie in my head.
Right.
I see what happens on the map. It's just like a movie that is a movie reel, and that makes it much more immersive.
Yeah.
And I must say that until I'd say maybe 5 or 6, maybe 7, 8 years ago, I did not play any tactical game. Because I played before. Wow. I played tactical games, but I didn't like them. I played Sands of War, I think was one system that was from Frank Chadwick. I played ASL. I played Conflict of Heroes, and I wanted to like them, but I didn't.
Okay.
I was playing it, and it didn't work for me. Yeah. And a couple of years ago, it's a little bit like your wine taste. That changes also with the age. Right. And nowadays, I really like those tactical games too. It's not that I don't like the operational anymore, but I found the right tactical games. They are really, really good.
Yeah, it also depends on your playing partner, right? Your opponent, so to speak. So
yeah, I have to say that I play, of course, as everybody, I think, a lot solo. But tactical games, they shine when you play them against somebody.
Exactly.
It's tactical games solo. It's not the same. Operational games, no problem. You can play any operational game solo, I think. But tactical games, it's really man against man, and that's nice too. And I'm not a competitive player at all, but it's different. You have to take more decisions that are really impacting the game.
Yes.
Yeah, it's different. And I have also bought now one box of Band of Brothers, the system. Apparently, that's also one that is very, very good.
Yeah.
But I have only opened the box and not played it, so I have no opinion.
I heard good things about that one too. So.
And I'm waiting for Assault, Gela Beachhead from the other German company.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's another German company. But I'm pretty fond of what I've seen, at least. Seems to be very nice too. I have not yet. I have not yet gotten it. It should now arrive sometime. I think.
Cool. So late Christmas present.
Oh well, I have made myself a lot of Christmas presents last year. I have to slow down again.
Yeah.
One of the things that I want to do in 2025 is shrink my collection to 500 games.
Oh wow, you want to sell the games?
Yeah, I have put 20 games on Board Game Geek Market.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I want really to get rid of all that stuff that I know that I'm never gonna play. And
okay, maybe I should check out your profile then.
yeah, go ahead, check it out. And even if you find something in the collection that's not yet in the geek market,
nice.
I still can, because a lot of them will go.
Yeah.
And I was this afternoon I was checking out, and I have now 18 or 19 games that are now for sale, more than the 71 that I already had on sale.
Okay.
I want to play the new games. I want to play the new games.
Sure. Yeah. So, maybe let's talk about some other stuff in the last couple of minutes. So, outside of game design, what are your favorite hobbies or interests? What do you do? Or is it a full-time commitment to design the Strike series games?
I would say that for the moment it's nearly full-time, because I love to do that. I mean, it sounds like nothing, but when there is on the Board Game Geek forum, there is a question. It's not like I would just type in the answer.
Yeah.
I'm checking what is the rule saying? How is the rule? How has this guy? How has he reacted on the rule? What is the problem with the rules wording? Is it there? Is it not there? And I try to give really answers, not like the ones that I see sometimes. Yeah, look it up in the rules. I've also seen designers saying that. I mean, if he asks a question and he has looked, I guess he has looked at the rules and he has not understood the rules. So that the problem is me that has not written it like it should be. So every question is really taking a lot of time also for me before I answer it.
Yeah.
And so that's and I really like it, because it helps me to make the rules better for the next games again, as I said. So most of the time I really do that, but I read a lot. I read a lot, and not only military history. I read also some literature. So I like to read a lot. I also have how do you say? I like Netflix series.
Yeah, of course.
So
what's the last one you watched?
Yeah, of course, it's a military one. It's Das Boot.
Of course. Yeah.
Of course, yeah, it could not be. But science fiction, for example, is also I really love science fiction, and that's also maybe one of the projects I have in my head for some time later. I would like to do a science fiction game, really.
Yeah, science fiction strike.
Yeah, Space Strike or whatever.
Space Strike.
Spaceballs.
Orbit Strike.
Star Strike.
Yeah.
Maybe
sounds good.
Maybe we can get Star Wars license.
Yeah.
I know. So no, but Netflix series is also something, and for example, also the I don't know how it's called in English. La Casa del Papel was absolutely brilliant. That's the Spanish. That's the Spanish one where they break in a bank and they stay there.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Haus des Geldes in German.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that was really great too. Or something like more political, where you have the replacement of the president in the US. That was also a nice series.
Yeah.
Or Home Security. It was also a nice series. I don't know if you know that one. Homeland.
Yeah,
Homeland.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That was also Yeah.
Cool.
So that's something I like to do. And I did also at some point do miniatures, painting them and painting tanks.
Warhammer or other systems?
Yeah, I did a little bit of Warhammer. I still have my army, my Elder Army.
Yeah.
But I did not play very much with it.
So you should do a Warhammer strike.
Yeah, if you get me
pitting
the license,
orcs against space marines, and
if you get me the license, I will do it. Yeah, that
cool.
would be nice too. Yeah, Warhammer 40,000, 40K
Yeah,
as
that'd
a
be
real war
awesome.
game. Is there a war game? Is there a war game, a real war game about Warhammer?
Not Hex and Counter,
Not
as
Hex
far
and
as I'm
Counter, I think.
aware. No, but there's board games, right? There's a
Yeah,
Risk in the Warhammer setting, and there's another game called Forbidden Stars, which is pretty good.
yes. Forbidden Stars. Yes, I lost against my
yeah.
cousin, my nephew. Yeah.
Right. Back to Warhammer. Yeah, Forbidden Stars is a pretty good game, which is unfortunately out of print. And I think the company producing the game didn't get a new license or something. So it's
Okay.
it will probably not come back. That's as
Ooh.
far as I know. So
That
yeah.
I'm lucky that I have it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks great. It works fine.
Yeah.
And I lost against my nephew. But I'm not the best player neither, so it's okay. I mean,
yeah.
you cannot
It's all
be
about the
perfect.
experience.
Nobody's perfect.
Right. All right, so we talked for more than an hour already, so
Cool.
that's pretty solid for the first day after New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we could still talk for hours. I think there are so many themes that we could talk about.
Yeah, so maybe we'll repeat this session and have another interview or another update on any of your projects at a later point in time. For now, I'm excited to see any feedback on the podcast. So I'm planning to host different designers as interview partners, but also to feature playtesters and volunteers who helped us in realizing game projects. And yeah, I'm just curious to see how it works out.
Yeah, cool.
So
do you already know who is going to be the next designer or
not
playtester?
yet. I got some lined up, but we didn't do the actual schedules.
Cool.
Yet, so,
okay. Yeah. Looking forward to see who is going to join you.
Right.
Thanks for having me. It has been a great chat. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, for being
pleasure.
here with us. And yeah, so for all our listeners, I'm excited to hear any feedback and questions you might have. You can post those, and I will consider those in any future recordings. And yeah, until next time.
See you. Thank you.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.